and welcome to the first inaugural episode of Command Center, a podcast that's sort of like a book club for video games. Every month we'll give you a new game that you can play along with. We'll do a deep analysis of it, and we'll just shoot the shit. So my name is Daniel, and with me is...
My name's Nate. I thought this was much more like a book club, so I wore my blue old lady wig and sundress, and I am glad it's a podcast and not a video today.
It's kind of sexy.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
My name is Jay, and I knew what I was doing, so I'm here.
He's queer, get used to it. So, for the first episode, obviously, y'all wouldn't know what game we were going to be playing, so we chose an easy one. We chose a game that a lot of people love, a lot of people have played, kind of a modern-day classic. We chose KOTOR, Knights of the Republic, number 1. And we had 2 of us playing it on PC via Steam. We had 1 of us playing on Xbox 360. Not upgraded in any way, had all kinds of problems with the disc, but we'll get into that.
Nice, scratchy disc.
Excellent scratchy disc, which I graciously loaned you.
What, you didn't flush it down the toilet? That fixes all discs.
I got confused, the whole peanut butter trick. I put the peanut butter in the toilet and then made a sandwich out of it and ate that while playing the game. It was...
I thought the peanut butter trick had something to do with dogs.
No, the supposedly peanut oil filled CD...
No, that was
different
toothpaste.
Peanut butter trick.
So... we're just going to kind of dig right into it. So my experience with the game is I played it pretty much when it first came out, back when it came out in 2003. Loved the game. Had a great time with it. And immediately it became like one of my favorites. I know, Jay, you played it as well.
Yeah, when it came out in 2003 as well, I still vividly remember the commercial. I was in New York visiting family for the summer. And I saw the commercial and I was like, a new Star Wars game, and get me to my whatever game place they had there, and I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, that came out like kind of in the heyday of like Star Wars games. I think it was kind of around the same time as Republic Commando. I think what was it?
Jedi Academy.
All those games were coming out, and I think a couple of others as well. I think Battlefront 2 was around that same time as well.
No,
the original
before original Battlefront.
Was it?
Yeah.
But it was a good time.
Yeah.
So, I lied to you guys. I told you I'd never played this game. I actually do have a slight experience with this game. In 2005, the summer after senior year...
Where did it touch you?
We had a bunch of Xbox LAN parties, and somebody left their copy of KOTOR in my Xbox for about 7 years till I lived with him in an apartment later, and then put it back in his collection without ever telling him.
It was me, wasn't it?
Yes, and I may be responsible for some of the scratches that were on that disc because it sat around my living room for several years. I tried to play it for 38 seconds, and the intro video lost me. Not that I dislike Star Wars, I just didn't like the...
Why am I not surprised? So yeah, we had two older players and 1 completely new player. I thought it'd be really interesting to see Nate's input on the game, having not been a longtime fan.
Let's just get one thing straight. Older as in...
Correct.
You guys are both geriatrics, and I am 21 and sexy. Yeah, gotcha.
We'll run with that. Continue. So, just first impression of the game, Nate.
So I need to say up front that I am not a huge fan of RPGs. Diablo 2 was Diablo 1 rather was Diablo 2 was my favorite RPG, which isn't an RPG to RPG fans. Hated WoW. I didn't hate WoW, but I got bored.
That's a lie.
I got bored with the leveling and the actual mechanics of WoW and sat in Orgrimmar cornering the market on commodities and playing marketing trader.
I remember this.
Yes, I bought everybody's mounts. I was like a level 20 buying level 40's mounts because I had 8,000 gold.
But you played.
But I played. But this game didn't have any economy aspect. I liked a lot of pieces of it. As a whole, I might have given it a better shot had I played it on computer. Playing it on Xbox was... aggravating. When I was 17 through 24 playing Xbox, I had the time to do that. And now as an adult, if it's not on PC, I don't play it.
And it's an Xbox 360. I want to
it came out on Xbox originally.
Originally on
Xbox, but I'm seeing you're not playing the upgraded version they have for Xbox One.
I was playing the Xbox 360, the Xbox version on a 360. And there were definitely moments, there were aspects of it I liked. Had it been more accessible to me, meaning on my computer, I might have finished it, but it wasn't, and I didn't, and then aggressively didn't, and then decided not to finish it.
We decided we were going to do this game about 3 months ago, and...
with the plan to finish it in a month.
And that didn't happen. I finished yesterday night, Nate never finished.
Yeah, never
Jay?
planned to.
I finished, maybe like 2 weeks ago?
So it took us a little longer.
You guys
which is
also you delayed because you were waiting for me to catch up, right?
I didn't want to call you out like
Oh
that.
no,
but
I
mean,
knew
that's okay.
I knew you guys were, and I was just like, nah.
I mean, not necessarily. I also had other games I was playing at the same time, so...
Yeah, I bought RimWorld when I shouldn't
Very
have.
good dedication. So just a couple of notes about the game. It was released in July of 2003 for Xbox and PC. It got ported later to Mac, and I didn't realize this, but iOS and Android as well.
What?
Yeah, much later, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah.
wait, so, what platform would you be playing in?
Obviously an iPhone or
But they were
Android
using
phone.
as a test for Skyrim iPhone and Skyrim Android, right?
Well, yeah, but then, Skyrim came out for, iDog.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they just kind of dropped all that.
I wish no one had shoved that copy of Skyrim up my dog.
So, what I found really interesting about it, the director/producer of the game, this guy named Casey Hudson, he was also the project director for the Mass Effect trilogy, which I guess when you play the game, it's knowing that you can look and see a lot of the elements that were going to be later in the Mass Effect kind of being tested, or
Also-
maybe it was the first time they did it and they became refined later in Mass Effect.
The lead writer as well. They worked
Right,
together.
that was
yeah.
another thing. So the writer, Drew, I'm going to murder his name, but Karpyshin,
I think
he was the lead writer for the first two Mass Effect games, not the third piece of shit.
Well, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
So the interesting thing about that guy, Drew, he began as a writer for Wizards of the Coast, who make Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
He wrote most of the story and most of the dialogue for the entire KOTOR 1 game. And for anyone who reads books based on video games, I know you two, nerds do. He wrote a lot of novels about Star Wars and all three of the Mass Effect books, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, I read, what was the one that followed Anderson?
There was Retribution, and then I don't remember the names. They're sitting right over there. On the
Yeah,
shelf.
the one that I read the one that followed Anderson, and that was really good. I'm
There-
assuming that was him.
Yeah, all three of them were him.
Yeah.
And just to continue on the whole Mass Effect part of it, the game designer, James Olin, he also worked on SWTOR,
Yeah.
kind of the WoW of Star Wars that became pretty popular. And I think they just announced a new...
It was okay. I enjoyed that.
I still enjoyed it.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed that more than WoW, honestly. And it was because it had the aspect of the way they did remote instances or what are the unique instances for every area. You never felt like in WoW where you're killing boar and there's 70s running around spewing levels. I don't know what. Wow, bad reference.
That's Nate.
But I really liked the way SWTOR was done because it felt like a single player game where you could play with your friends, which is honestly something that, had I been playing with you guys in KOTOR, I would have enjoyed it more. That's one of the reasons I stuck with WoW as long as I did,
That's
is
why
that
they
my
made
friends would
SWTOR,
hop in.
yeah.
Yeah.
So another thing about that guy, Drew, the writer, having worked for Wizards of the Coast... I'm sorry, not Drew. James, the designer. He actually started as a comic book store owner, and he ran a couple of D&D campaigns, and they were so popular that they had a waiting list for people to come and play on them. And the founders of BioWare found out about him. I'm not sure how, but they recruited him. And some of the first projects they worked on were Neverwinter Nights and Baldur's Gate, which are obviously they're based off of Dungeons and Dragons. So they got him to do those, and that kind of put BioWare on the scene.
Was he on Icewind Dale?
I don't believe so.
What about Dragon Age? That would be interesting.
So yes, that designer also worked on Dragon Age.
I was about to say that would make a lot of sense. Yeah.
All the BioWare classics,
Yeah.
the single-player RPGs like that, they all have that same kind of aesthetic and the same kind of very good writing and storytelling. And I'm sure that he has a lot to do with that.
And that's probably why all the sequels did not do as well besides Mass Effect 2.
So check this. I did not like KOTOR. I would not play it again. But I also didn't like Baldur's Gate and or Dragon Age. What I loved was Icewind Dale, which was the one he didn't work on. Maybe it's not that I don't like this game. I have a personal unknown war against this one man who I've never met.
And that's fair enough.
I've got to go buy a greatsword or
We can
something.
find his Wikipedia and find him.
I mean, I had his Wikipedia up, and his address is not the correct
We
one.
have ways of...
I killed some entire family that was not him. I need to hide.
But Mass Effect 1 and 2 he did, though, and you
He did.
liked those.
And I loved them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was... Yeah, he did 1 and 2. 3, I don't know who did that, but I'd like to find out who that is.
I don't think that it would be a good idea for us to find them out.
So, They were aiming for a 60-hour playthrough on the story. How long did it take you, Jay?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't keep count. Probably since I've played it like so many times, and honestly, probably the last time I did play it was almost like 3 or 4 months ago.
Right.
So this time, I did try to take my time to try to find like stuff that I didn't do, like even the character I did, which we'll probably get into later on, like which roles we picked and whatnot. Probably around 40, maybe 50.
40? Holy shit!
Wow.
Yeah,
It took me 75 hours to finish it.
Yeah, because I was 2 planets out of the starting region. I did not play much on the second planet.
I mean, call me out on bullshit. I'm guesstimating right now,
Well,
but
we can always check,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then next episode we'll come back and see how much of a fucking
was-
liar you are.
Yeah.
26 hours and 11 minutes in, and all I did was finish the start planet,
Terrace.
Kashyyyk, which was actually really enjoyable, and then get to Tatooine, play like 3 missions on Tatooine, and be like, I'm just gonna do this podcast without completing the game.
you also didn't like Dantooine too. You missed that one. It was you go to Terrace and then Dantooine.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
There's Dantooine in the middle, and that's when you do Dantooine right after because you have to. Yeah.
And then you can go wherever you want.
Then
And
you
then,
can go-
I did
then you have
Kashyyyk,
your
which
choice,
Kashyyyk was
yeah.
enjoyable, and then I did Tatooine, but that was 26 hours for the 2 start areas and 1 full playthrough of a planet. Like,
I think that comes with a decision-based game because you're thinking it through more than any other like shooter or.
and
Well,
I,
that as well, and I you can just plow through the main storyline.
Which I did.
I was
As a
trying
kid,
to.
right?
I was
Yeah.
trying to aggressively. And
I
could
did
not.
every single side quest I could find because I had played the game a couple of times and I was, rushing through. So I
Yeah.
wanted to get the light side ending, I wanted to get the dark side ending, which I did. This time, I had originally set out to do just neutral, and then realized that's stupid because there's like items and shit that you can't use unless
Yeah.
you're one or the other.
It's not. It's not a.
This
it's,
isn't the game to do.
It's an
the
aged.
neutral,
It's an aged
yeah.
game. This is something that I think is that like back at that time, games were binary. You're the good guy or you're the bad guy. They weren't like modern games where you have almost a triangle of good, bad, and neutral, where there's stuff for every playthrough. This was back when this stuff was just starting. The whole morality scale, where you have the bad guy stuff and the good guy stuff, and if you're sitting in the middle, you get nothing.
Well, on that same note, though, this is one of the first games, at least that I can remember, that had any kind of scale like that.
Yes.
Yeah, there
Yes.
were. Just to be fair, there were games that had stuff like that before,
Right.
but not obviously to the scale.
I
that
remember
this
games
brought
where,
out.
depending on what different decisions you'd make, you might get different endings that were either, dark side, light side, or if you will. But this is the first one I saw that had the actual scale, and like your character his appearance would change depending on how you were acting. And all
I think the
that.
next one will probably be Fable. I don't know.
Fable,
Fable.
Yeah.
When did Fable come out? Compared to
I was
Mass
actually
Effect?
just. I was just thinking that. Which one did come first, the
That's a
chicken or
good-
the egg?
That's a good question.
Well, they were different studios because Fable was the
Well,
guy
yeah,
who
they're definitely
did,
different studios. Yeah.
Never mind, that's not important.
So, like, another thing about KOTOR, another reason why Nate is wrong. It won about 40 Game of the Year.
I played light side, he played dark side. Can you tell?
I won about
I played
40
light as well.
Game of the Year awards across like many publications. IGN placed it at number 3 of the best games of the decade, and it only lost out to Shadows of the Colossus and Half-Life 2.
Both
So-
of which are games that I love. I
Right.
played more hours in Shadows of the Colossus probably than I did in Half-Life 2, honestly. I played that game so
I
many
haven't played
times.
either of those games.
It's good company to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the anomaly in that great company of great games.
Mm.
This game that was lackluster. No, that's not true. It was a great game. It's just not my style. It's not what I like, RPGs. And in addition, I played this after Mass Effect. I played Mass Effect was the Mr. Holland's opus. What's that called? Their Paramount work.
The Magnum Opus.
The Magnum Opus. That's I couldn't
The
remember.
Mr. Holland's Opus.
From
of
here on
video
out,
games.
that's what Magnum Opus is called.
That's actually not to step on you, but
No,
that's
no.
actually what I was going to bring up because I was thinking about all the factors as into why you wouldn't like this game, and that was one of my things. Is that as I was playing through it, I saw it where it was like you can see the makings of Mass Effect
Right.
as I'm playing this game, but you can also see that this is obviously the rough draft.
The beta.
of-
the beta.
yeah, exactly,
It's not the
yeah.
beta. It's a different game.
It
but-
set down a lot of the groundwork for what their future games would be like.
It was. I don't know if anybody else noticed when you were playing through and your decisions. A lot of them you could kind of tell that, like, if I picked A, B, or C, it would have just got the same answer from the NPC.
Right.
Yeah. So
well, it's the illusion of choice, because I'm sure they were constrained by the amount of data they can put
exactly
on there, and that's just something to be said about. One of the things that I thought was most impressive about the game was the level of voice acting. They had over 100 voice actors work on this game, and a lot of them had duplicate characters they played, obviously, but they had 100 voice actors, and they recorded all of the audio within 3 weeks, recording day and night, which I thought was really impressive for it.
Wow.
Some of the voice actors as well, you might recognize. Catherine Tabor, she was the voice of Mission, my least favorite character. I was so happy to kill her at the end.
I didn't know that happened. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Spoilers on a game I'm never gonna finish.
God. By the way, spoiler alert. We're talking about a fucking game that was from, 2003?
Well, I gotta leave. Whoa.
I haven't finished.
So
I didn't know 9/11 happened.
As a kid, I didn't like... So, actually, I have this right here. As a kid, I didn't, mind Karth and hated Mission. As an adult, I
sucks so bad.
Yeah, I hate Karth, and I don't mind Mission.
Annoying.
But I had problems with betrayal.
Yeah, he was such a whiny bitch.
Who's the Mandalorian?
Canderous.
Canderous Ordo.
Go on a mission with Canderous and Karth. I tried it because I was like, these guys are going to hate each other. It's an emo fest behind you because the game doesn't let them actually kill each other or fight or resolve the conflict. So they're just like the commentary scripts from when you're walking around that the characters make. They're just barbing. But it's not like it's a game that came out in 2003, or it was not, edgy games are kind of a modern thing. This is a Leisure Suit Larry time frame where, there weren't super edgy games, so they just bitch behind you unceasingly. And it's like, all right, I tried it because I wanted to see what would happen. I brought this on myself. I will never do that again.
I did the same thing. Basically, it amounted to Canderous being upset that Karth wasn't more of a warrior and reveling in all his glory.
Karth would like to talk. Canderous would like to talk. Karth would like to talk. Oh my god, stop.
So, me being me, I've never played light side. So, Jay, I wonder, I know that on dark side, you get to get the opportunity to kill Jolie Bindo. You get the opportunity to kill Bastila, Juhani, who you can kill earlier in the game.
You can.
But I kept her till the end, and
I definitely did a light side run where I killed her by mistake and realized that I could have kept her. Whoops.
Right. Oh yeah, no, that's the one you pick up on Tatooine, right?
So my question is, do you get the chance to kill Canderous at any point if you play light side?
Probably not. I would assume
you don't
because
know?
I would assume not because
have
if
you
you're doing
been
light,
given that choice?
No,
that's what he's asking.
Because when you interact with him. I can understand in dark because when you're interacting with Karth, you have conflicting sides and whatnot. And you're like, I want to fuck shit up, and Karth is like, no, don't do that.
But it's the same with Canderous. You're like, I want to fuck. I want to be nice, and Canderous is like, I'm a Mandalorian.
It seems that way, but not with the choices in dialogue selection you have. You can still be light, and it's more of a neutral aspect, I guess. It's not necessarily because you can be like, oh, that's horrible. War isn't, blah blah blah. I guess you can do that if you're going all the way light. I didn't because because then you could end up being like, oh, I have to kill Canderous. I was just appeasing every member of my crew so they don't.
Here's a question. So Jolie, when you look up his stat screen, his level up screen, he's a gray Jedi. He is supposed to be neither light nor
exactly.
No. So that gave me, and that's I didn't finish the game obviously, but that gave me the idea that you could finish as gray. Is that not possible?
You can. The only reason
it's
that
harder.
You shouldn't is because there are certain kind of powerful items that you can only use if you're light side or dark side.
Okay.
Finishing as a gray Jedi, per se, neutral, doesn't give you any sort of benefit.
You can't use both items. You have to.
Correct.
All right, yeah.
Correct.
But Canderous is
fully red.
Yeah, and he's fully red, but he's also, at least from maybe I'm just confusing him with the guy you kill on Kashyyyk, who's the bad guy on the first planet. What's his name? The guy with the weird Samuel L. Jackson hat and the thick steampunk goggles.
Oh,
yeah, the bounty hunter that kills everybody in that bar, and then
Callum Nor.
Yeah. So you meet him around the same time.
Samuel L. Jackson.
That's a Samuel L. Jackson hat. That is the holy crap! I went bald, and I'm not as muscular as I was, and I need to cover my head to look artsy.
And I would wear goggles for some fucking.
Yeah, because oh my god, we made white Samuel L. Jackson. Put goggles on him. Let's put him in the game. But so you meet him around the same time you meet Canderous, and maybe I've confused the two, but I remember Canderous being, yes, he was Darkseid and he didn't mind murder, but he was more of a mercenary. He was there for monetary gain with you. He wasn't there.
He was a merc, yeah.
So a good guy can work with a merc because, I mean, mercenary work is by its very nature gray.
He was, though, at core a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
He reveled in
battle,
but that's also like he was extolling his virtues of like, we attacked a defenseless planet and murdered everyone. Like, so awesome, look at me.
If you are light, you can kind of sway him into like rethinking his thoughts. See, obviously he's still like a Mandalorian to his core, because if anybody played the sequel, spoilers for a 2006 game, I guess, he comes back as Mandalore.
The planet? The planet?
The Mandalore is the leader of the Mandalore.
Okay,
yeah, so
didn't know that.
Yeah, every generation of Mandalorians has their
a
Mandalore.
Gotcha.
And so in the next game, he comes back as the Mandalore. You don't, like, it's kind of like a secret that he's Karth, and you have to, like, do a set amount of things to figure it out. Or, I'm sorry, not Karth,
Kander.
For him to, like, actually say who he is.
It's like when you take Grunt to the Krogan homeworld, and Grunt becomes the Krogan king. Yeah.
You know, BioWare.
Yeah. Imagine that. Same team, same rating team.
Yeah, so you can sway him to rethink his thoughts, and maybe even, like so that he becomes Mandalore. It's more of that option, so he's not more of, like, warmongering. He's more of, like, I need to get the Mandalorians back together so we can do something, I guess.
Sorry to Mandalore. Rape and murder.
That is... Like, having known there is a second game, having not played it, and having played it through the Mass Effect series, that is so, like, I almost feel like there was a discussion in the writer's room about, let's have this be, he's going to come back as Mandalore. Let's have this be, it'll read off your own save file, and like, well, how would we do this? We're now in the Xbox 360, we can't do that.
Exactly, and that was before.
So now we've got this idea, let's do this with Mass Effect, because the original Xbox saved on the hard drive, the 360 saved on the hard drive, but I bet you that idea came from these two games, and then they're like, we're going to integrate that, because it wasn't written... KOTOR wasn't written to do that, but Mass Effect 1 was written to carry save games forward and your decisions forward.
Yeah, and I think that they probably made that decision to do that in Mass Effect for that very reason.
Exactly, because of this character. Yeah.
When 2 came out, I remember wanting to go play it, and from what I understand, 2 starts out with the idea that you finish light on 1. Because at the end of 1, if you finish dark, you kill Darth Malak, you take up the mantle of the Dark Lord, you use the Starforge to make a fleet, you destroy the Republic fleet, and basically it ends with you being the Dark Lord of the Sith, and the Republic is doomed, and you're taking over. And then when 2 starts, none of that has happened, and people you've killed are back, and all of that, so I would imagine that maybe there was a little bit of an outcry, like, hey, what the hell? Like, I didn't do that, and now you're starting up a whole new game as if you had finished Lightside the first time.
The end of Homeworld, you can beat it as either... You're just choosing races, but you can beat it as either race. But then when Cataclysm and Homeworld 2 came out, they're like, oh, by the way, we never actually told you this. The Kashan were the ones you were supposed to play as, because if you played as the other ones, none of this makes any damn sense.
The Vidan.
Yeah. But no, the Vidan were 2. The Tydan.
That's the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Canderous is always a pliable character, just in the sense that, like, I remember at the end of my game that I finished last night, I was talking to him. I was one of these dialogue options, and I was like, nah, dude, I'm going to take over the galaxy. It was right after he was saying, like, I'm a changed person. I don't need to be a Mandalorian anymore. I think that I'm different now. Like, I don't have to worry about battle and all that and that. And I was like, well, I'm the Dark Lord of the Sith, and you should bow to me, and we're going to take over the galaxy. He's like, oh, well, I'm just loyal to you. You're Revan, so I'm going to follow you no matter what you do. And it's like, okay, man. Like, huge 180.
You changed me only... Well, you changed him, and then you said, oh, BT dubs, everything I said earlier... We're evil now. It's like, oh,
yeah. There are some funky things in there. Like, one of the points that I thought was a bit wonky, but going into character stuff. So Bastila, as I was because like I said before, I played this multiple times. As I've grown older and played it more and more, man, is she a really crappy Jedi?
Yeah.
She was, like, very pretentious, like, right off the bat.
Well,
like,
she's also kind of still an apprentice, isn't she?
No, she's supposed to be a knight.
No,
but she's still learning.
She was an apprentice when they took out
Revan.
Revan, who is you.
Yeah.
Like, you play Revan, you just don't know it.
Yeah, and then she becomes a knight, but, like, I don't know. So this was back when, to also double back on reasons why you might not like it, one of the reasons, at least this time going through it, I was kind of disheartened is the whole, like, Disney crap of Disney owning Lucasfilms, and they decanonize all of that. So, like, back when it wasn't decanonized, playing this game and hearing all these side like stories and whatnot, you're like, oh man, this is building towards a giant galaxy, galactic empire.
Oh yeah, unlimited cosmic power. Yeah.
But now that it's decanonized, obviously, I mean, I just got a Google alert that they're trying to do something. I think they're making a Knights 3, but
they want to make a movie based on the KOTOR universe.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with the Disney stories, the Star Wars stories is great because they decanonized everything, but they decanonized it to say like this is what we're using as canon. They can then pick that back up if they want. Yeah, it sucks that they decanonized all this great stuff, but they might pick it back up if there's a great story there. The other option from the Disney purchase was Lucas continuing to hang on to it. And who wants that? You know, like who wants that at all?
So
yeah, that's true.
I know
Dig on George Lucas for no reason. I'm going to do one of those every episode.
So I know we went on a tangent there on Canderous for a minute, which is fine because he's a great fucking.
Oh,
character.
but sorry to bring back up the Bastila thing. So I noticed that the clunkiness of, and it goes back to, you know, this is their rough draft of the Mass Effect type of game.
They were exploring a new genre, in effect.
Exactly, but you can totally tell, like, the 180 of Bastila going from light to dark was a bit abrupt and felt a bit rushed. I don't know if you felt the same way.
I didn't because I had a lot of time in between when she got captured.
So did I.
And then when you find her.
No, she definitely. Now, granted, I didn't go dark and I didn't play long, but she definitely had doubt. Like she was like the whole vision sub story where you and her are having visions. She was very much malleable, which goes to the fact that she was a young Jedi. She was made a knight simply because she managed to take you down. Yeah. If she was not, we guarantee you a seat on this council, but you do not get the rank of master. She should not have had the rank of knight, and she was still malleable. She was still a Padawan, an experienced Padawan, and that was evident to me even early in the game. That it's like she'll be like, "Oh, well, this is the right way to do it," and you're like, "I don't want to do that." She's like, "I guess you don't have to do it." And
that's
it's like,
really funny you should say that line because right after I wrote that down, I said very Anakin-esque.
No, she
wasn't quite
I don't
funny.
doubt her power. I watched her die in like several battles against random mobs. It's like you're garbage. I'm bringing Jolie. I'm never bringing you again. You're terrible.
Well, on that note, though, they do bring that up in game.
Mm-hmm.
When she goes dark side and you're talking to her, she says like, "Oh, the council was only using me for my battle meditation," which they were.
Yeah,
there's
they were.
some valid points there. So they probably elevated her to a higher rank because of her unique abilities as battle meditation.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's
and you have to remember as well, she knows you're Revan. So when y'all are sharing visions, she's freaked out.
Yeah,
like
she's
this is
sharing,
the
yeah.
former Dark Lord of the Sith, and now since she saved your life, y'all are connected.
Revan was the master, or Revan was the apprentice?
Revan was the master,
Yeah.
and Malik
Was the apprentice
attacked
too,
his
yeah.
ship while the Jedi were attacking him to, take over.
As Sith do.
Bastila used her force powers to save your life, basically, and in that time it erases your memory and you forget who you are, but everyone else knows who you are. I mean, the Jedis do.
Yeah.
There's like during this playthrough, literally so many hints
So
of
somebody
you being Revan
was
that I
attempted
couldn't
to be
even
made
count.
into a Jedi that the council was really not ready for, and a young Jedi said, "I'm going to make this guy into a Jedi, regardless of what you say."
No,
and
it
that
was
did some bad stuff to the Jedi. I've never heard
It
the
was the
story
council's
before.
decision to do
damn.
that. Yeah.
But it was also the fact that Bastila and Revan crash land on the same planet. It wasn't planned.
Yeah.
They just
You
ended
were
up on
being-
the same
No,
ship.
I thought it was before. I think they did it because when she was healing him, they noticed the Force bond that was...
Right, no, they knew that was going to happen. What I mean is they probably, if the Endar Spire had not been attacked and the crash landed on Terrace, they wouldn't have planned for Bastila and Revan to just be buddy-buddy hanging out for that long doing their thing. They were probably headed on their way back to Republic.
You were being transported as a prisoner, in effect.
Not necessarily a prisoner, because his mind was destroyed. He didn't remember who he was.
He was just recruited into a public...
And they weren't sure what to do
He
with
was
him.
under the guise that he
Take
was
it back to the council. The council will know.
a Republic soldier.
Yeah, okay.
And on the way back, the Endar Spire gets attacked.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it was designed by the council that she was supposed to mentor him, basically. It just happened by chance, and by the time that they got back to the council, they're like, "Hey, we already spent all this time together."
That's why she's so surprised and terse when you find her on the opening planet.
On Terrace.
She was really pissy about the fact that I had just rescued her ass and was like, why did I do...
She was about to make her own escape, sir.
Yeah, Karth, we could have just stolen a ship and gotten out of here. We didn't need her. Let's get,
So there were a couple of things I wanted to point out, though. So the voice actor that voiced Mission, Catherine Tabor, she also voiced Princess Leia and Queen Amidala in several video games and audiobooks, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, she stayed in the community, and she's still pretty active. If anyone hadn't noticed, Ethan Phillips, who plays Neelix, does a couple of voices in the game.
I heard him in there. I was like, yeah.
Definitely.
Robin Sachs also does, and you might recognize him from Mass Effect. He was Zaid. He was also in Dragon Age Origins. He was the narrator, among other characters as well. Okay. And for people who are fans of other sci-fi things, he also played Ethan Rayne in Buffy and Angel. He was Ceres, the main bad guy in Galaxy Quest, even though he's wearing all that makeup. He was also in Star Trek, Babylon 5, and Walker, Texas Ranger, which who doesn't love?
As a recurring character, or
personally, I still miss the punches woman in the face lever on Conan O'Brien way back in the day.
Excuse me?
There's a scene in Walker, Texas Ranger where Walker's driving a car and it's a convertible, and the woman in the passenger seat is freaking out. And I think she's like in league with the bad guy, but she doesn't know what to do, and she wants to be a good guy. She's just freaking the hell out, and it's stopping the Texas Ranger from being able to drive properly. So he punches her in the face and just knocks her right unconscious. And it's just like it's a helicopter shot of a convertible, and he just wails right across her face. And for about 2 seasons on the old Late Late Show with Conan O'Brien, they had a Walker, Texas Ranger lever. That was always that scene where when something would like go way off the rails, he would pull the lever. And they would play that clip, so an interview would go badly, and it would just be Chuck Norris punching some woman in the face in a Chevy convertible driving down a Texas highway.
Well, he had to stop her from screaming.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, 1940. Best way to make a woman calm down, give him a good one on the chin.
Right in the kisser.
Yeah, pow!
So, what are y'all's thoughts on the graphics? I know that they're a little bit different on PC than they are on Xbox. Yes. When I first started doing this playthrough, I started on Xbox and remembered, hey, I had this game on Steam. And oh my god, the difference is incredible.
I want to speak specifically for playing this game for about a week and a half before realizing it didn't launch on 360. It's been quite a while since I played console games, and playing on 360, I was like, I don't remember 360's graphics being this terrible. This is awful. And then I went and talked to one of you guys, and you're like, oh yeah, it was originally an Xbox game, and I had not updated it at all. There were no improvements from the original Xbox graphics, and it was Half-Life 1-esque. Yes, minus the fact that the aliens are less prevalent, so I had to think these are humans that don't look anything like humans. The Wookiees look like brown lumpy humans, but also I really like the Xbox game, the big one, Halo, where in order to do the talk, they would have them, when you aimed at the ground, 1 pixel or one notch above below, the head would snap up so that they could animate videos by wiggling the cursors at the ground and have the head look like it was talking, and then Red vs. Blue used that forever. Mm-hmm. It's a Halo. It's on the same release time as Halo, right? Halo was 2002, 2004?
I mean, it's around the same time, probably.
Combat Evolved?
Yeah.
I thought that was more like 2001. I don't really remember.
I mean, it came out with...
It wasn't launch. It was just after launch, wasn't it?
Yeah, Halo came out with the original Xbox.
Oh, it was launch?
Okay, that was a launch title.
2001, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the graphics, at least on the Steam version, which I played, I don't know when they updated them, but they were decent. Like, you had shadows that looked pretty good. You had the sunshine coming off of the armor was kind of gleaming. I did find that something that was kind of cool, even with the original one. I remember playing it, and when you're running through, like on Dantooine or places like that, the grass would sway as you ran through it. Mm-hmm. Or on Tatooine, there would be little puffs of sand whenever you're doing that, which I thought for the Xbox.
The limitation was always polys, never like so they make a flat picture that is always facing the camera. That was the old school way you did graphics. Like,
yeah, I think for its time it was a pretty
quite so.
Yeah. So how hard did you find the game, Jay?
So when I first played this game as a kid, I had no idea about, like, I guess, what is it, turn-based games?
Not even turn-based. You get to pause it. I don't know if there's a name for that. Are you doing Dragon Age as well?
It rides the line between turn-based and real-time.
Exactly.
It's not a strategy, it's also an RPG.
But, I was a stupid-ass kid, so I'm thinking that this is all hack and slash and whatnot, so I'm probably, as a child, getting my ass handed to me 8 times out of 10, I probably had to bump it down to very easy or some shit so I could actually beat it.
Were there difficulty settings?
Yeah.
Then what difficulty did I play it on?
I
just started playing.
Yeah. So this time I just had it on normal. now with my fully developed human brain.
Jesus.
So heavily handicapped by years of alcoholism and marijuana and
Oh, we're talking about Jason, not me.
and homoerotic pornography.
Well, that has nothing to do with this.
Wait,
what I do in my own time, sir.
I was talking about Jason, not you.
Oh, that's awkward.
But anyways, so I didn't. There was times where it was like, oh, this is easy, and then because there's no quick save, so you feel like you're on a roll and whatnot, and then you get into maybe some Dark Jedi, and then you get your ass handed to you, and then you have to explode all the way back of 30 minutes of what you just did.
There is a quick save on the Steam version, which I found out when I was about 90% done with it.
I looked it up, I remember, yeah.
I relished that. I loved it so much because you would die and realize that's a real video game. So that's not. I've adapted to modern video games. I am 3 months older than anyone. I don't know how much older I am than you.
I'm
Daniel.
27.
Yeah, okay, so he's really young. But like that's video games is when the kicker isn't like that's how I was raised. The kicker isn't dying. The kicker is forgetting that you haven't saved in forever.
Yeah,
and that game brought that feel back, and which it wasn't like I would never want that in a modern video game. But I liked kind of going back. It was like going back to medieval times and like, oh, what's my daily struggle? Find food from a face. Not a struggle a modern person has.
I think that this game is a good medium between the two extremes of auto-saving every couple of seconds, which modern games will do, and, Resident Evil-esque, where you have to find ink ribbons in order to save the damn game.
You have to save the save room, and you gotta
save, you gotta play until you find it.
Yeah.
This one, you can save anytime you want, but you have to remember to do it. And, being as old as we are, not that we're ancient or anything, but...
I mean, I'm pretty ancient.
I grew up with the games where you had to save manually. And I've slowly grown accustomed to in autosaves. And having to go back to manually save, I forgot to do that shit.
Half-Life was the perfect balance. You tap F5 and you're saved.
75 hours to complete, and who knows how many hours of that was because...
Missed. Yeah. Oh my god, I will not forget, like, literally dying, and it was like time played 21 hours, and then loading my save at 18, and I just turned the Xbox off. I just got up and was like, no more today. I cannot do this anymore.
Just to finish your question, so once I got the hang of it, especially with how I am, the character that I chose, I guess we can just say right now.
Yeah.
I went with more of like a rogue-esque. Actually, the game forces you to be a Jedi.
Did you use stealth at all?
Yeah,
I was trying to do like
bunch.
heavy soldier. I was not trying to use stealth.
So I use stealth. I use blasters most of the time. I barely, unless I was going up against somebody else that was using the Force, I would just use my blasters, no matter what. And it worked, but long story short... Too late! The only problem that I had was at the very end of the Starforge, where it was just like endless waves upon waves upon waves, which I thought that was just me. I thought it was a glitch when I was a kid and being like, this didn't happen. Oh, it kept happening. And they just kept coming.
So like,
you eventually just have to give up and just keep on running and sacrifice your whoever two people you brought with you. Which is what I...
Like Call of Duty, where if you stay under, like in Call of Duty, you could stay behind cover and try to kill all the enemies, but just more would come until you moved forward. This was spawns,
where...
Or they just send a horde at you, and it's just too big.
They periodically will send out a group of people, and you can stay and fight them, but they'll just keep on coming.
Yeah.
And even if you run, they're going to keep on spawning, and they're going to keep on chasing you.
Yeah, but you can get past them.
So what you have to do, basically, is stop and fight every once in a while, and then run, and then stop and fight, and then run, and then stop and fight. And hope that you have enough med packs or stims or what have you to make it to the end.
So as a kid, I basically had to do that, which is always run and just get to the end. Now I had a little easier time, but I didn't realize you can miss a crucial thing on the Starforge of getting either the light. You can get your if you're a dark side, you can get your Revan robes back made for you, or like a really nice light side robe.
I realized that after I finished when I was doing research for this episode, and I saw like a video. Oddly enough, it was a video of someone defeating Malak by walking up to him after the cutscene of when he first comes into the command deck, and then he points at him and he turns into a dancing Twi'lek. There's a cheat code somewhere in the game where that's how you end the game.
It's not a cheat code. That's actually how the game ends. We don't recommend you play it and inspect this.
So I saw that, but the guy who had snapped his fingers and turned Malak into a dancing Twi'lek was wearing the Revan robes. And I was like, how the fuck did he get the Revan robes? And I looked it up. But, like, you can get them right before the end of the game, which kind of sucks. Like, give it to me a little earlier because I want to wear them.
But they want it to be a grand reveal. How long before that moment did you realize you were Revan?
Quite a bit before that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, but no, there's several. Like, I didn't realize you could get his robe probably years later from the first time I played it.
Does it have good stats?
Oh, hell yeah, yeah. And it just looks badass.
I mean, I found...
And so does honestly, the Jedi one looks awesome, too.
I didn't spend a lot of time on armor. I kept using the modifiable armor. Granted, I didn't play as far as you guys, but I just kept using the modifiable armor and modifying it better and better, because I had yet to get to the heavy armor perk.
Well, a lot of armor is modifiable.
Okay, and I only found like 2 sets, and so the first thing I did was put the second set on Bastila, because she kept dying. And then finally just replaced her with that droid.
You can't put armor on it. You can't. Yeah,
don't put armor.
No, but you put light armor, modifiable light armor, like robe on her or whatever. But you could shove mod stuff in it, and it still didn't help. I just finally stopped using her because she was fluffy. But so you stayed as a gunner the whole game, because I very rapidly, once I got the lightsaber, I couldn't, whenever you're facing a group of mobs, there's 2 ranged, maybe a grenadier, and then 1 or 2 melee. I could not get the melee characters down, and it was a challenge to get my party members who were melee to get in their way and block them, even with pausing, which I really liked that pause aspect. I missed that. That was Icewind Dale when you had a party of 6, hit pause, everybody has an assignment you're going to do. It was about midway through Kashyyyk that I started using it, where everyone's got all these abilities, it is an RTS, and that everyone's got, this character needs to use this needs to use this, and you have to pause and assign your group's roles. And the 3-person party is small enough that you can manage it without pausing, but I never did. I just paused it. But I could never keep the melee characters away, and the amount of damage I was doing with continuing to shoot at them at point blank versus just pulling out a lightsaber, it was about halfway through Kashyyyk, maybe a quarter way through Kashyyyk, I just stopped I didn't stop carrying them, but I stopped equipping the blasters.
So as we mentioned before when we were saying don't put heavy armor or even medium armor or even light armor on a Jedi because that restricts some of their force powers, I didn't use any of the robes, but so I stuck to the force powers that I could use with armor, which for a big thing I went rogue or whatever. I think is it Scoundrel?
Yeah.
Scoundrel.
Is that why? So I put armor on Bastila and not on Jolie. Because I didn't have any armor for Jolie.
Armor restricts force power.
I was handicapping Bastila.
Yeah,
exactly. Including her lightsaber, because she was doing no damage at the end.
But the thing is, with Bastila, I think she's a Jedi counselor, so she's a good balance of, not really well with melee, but she's a balance of melee and force powers.
She's not full caster. But
exactly, where Jolie is basically a caster,
Johanny
is using Jolie in melee, but he was keeping the whole party up.
Exactly, he's a caster. So I don't know if you know, so obviously probably not. So this time, for the first time, I realized that for characters, there's scripts.
Yeah. So you have to go in and set the scripts, and they have...
Yeah.
You can't... So, this all carried over to Dragon Age. Dragon Age really refined that system where you can pause the battle, and you set assignments or actions for all of your party. And I think they kind of perfected that. But in Dragon Age, which I didn't have the capability, I assume, in KOTOR, is you can do custom scripts. So in this instance, do this. So if you have 2 people attacking you melee, switch to melee. If you have 1 person range, 1 person melee attacking you, kill the melee person, then attack the ranged person. In this one, they just had preset sort of... I don't even know what the word is.
It was basically... it was only for really attacking. So there was Jedi, droid, Grenadier...
droid support, droid attack, so they have... But they wouldn't adapt what was happening.
No.
So if you have someone set to Jedi support and they have 3 people melee attacking them, they're not going to switch to their melee weapon and attack. They're going to keep on supporting.
Yeah. They're going to be casting heals across the room while there's...
And that's what they changed in Dragon Age, which was like Lee said, this was a really a starting point for Mass Effect.
Conditional based actions in effect.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I did really love the some of the fights were amazing. The combat was really good. That was the highlight. In Kashyyyk, I was kind of getting bored, so I just said I'm going to go find combat as quick as possible, and I just started attacking people, and I really enjoyed that. The combat was really good, and while today I feel like it stood up to today's games. Granted, I don't play a ton of RPGs, but that may be why, is that their combat isn't like Mass Effect or like Dragon Age. The combat's what turned me off, but it wasn't that the combat was bad, it was that I could not win ever.
Well, Mass Effect is kind of an outlier because it's, as opposed to the other ones where it's just like, all right, attack this one, I don't have to keep doing anything to set those spells. Mass Effect, you're actually, like, it's a full-blown...
It's a third-person
shooter. It's a shooter. It's a shooter with a combat aspect,
To me, when Mass Effect first came out, I was like, what?
Yeah. That was a whole new...
I played Soldier in every Mass Effect for a reason, because I was using other people's abilities, and when shit hit the fan, I was like, I'm just going to shoot my way out of this. Like,
and it works.
Yeah.
I will say that I think that KOTOR is a harder game than Mass Effect.
Oh, most definitely.
Definitely.
Obviously,
I don't know how many times those Mandalorians killed me on Kashyyyk. Like, it was literally like 12 or 13 tries to beat them. I had to mine the entire area for a side quest. And, like, literally set up 15, 20 mines, and Jolie still ran through them.
So, when I was talking to Nate earlier, a couple of weeks ago, about the game, and I said, hey, where are you? He said, I'm on Kashyyyk. And I had just finished Kashyyyk, and I think that so did Jason. And for those of you who have played this game, you might remember on Kashyyyk, there's those little monkey-type things that are running around everywhere.
Oh, yeah!
For one specific bullshit side quest. And they constantly...
Which was an easy side quest.
Unceasingly make a horrendous noise. Something like... Mm-hmm. And they just will not stop. And even during cutscenes, when you're trying to hear...
I turned the volume on after this conversation, and they do. They just randomly...
So I asked Nate, and he was like, I'm really enjoying Kashyyyk. And I said, wow, really? You're really enjoying it? He's like, yeah, it's great. I'm having a great time. I was like, it's not bothering you? The monkeys running around making all kinds of noises? He's like, what? I was like, well, you don't hear him? He's like, oh, no, I played with the volume off because the disc was scratched and the volume sucked. And that explains it.
The volume did not suck. I will now do the next 5 minutes as the game was. The volume didn't suck. It just, on occasion, it had some random skips in it. And it was not bad. Imagine how long you'd play that way until you muted the game. I was like, subtitles and mute.
No, I ain't mad at you about it. I really reconsidered our friendship when you said you liked Kashyyyk. I thought there was something inherently wrong with you.
If you go back and play Kashyyyk muted, it's enjoyable.
Literally the first planet I go to just to get it out of the way.
Alright, so I didn't finish this game, and then until today, literally about 20 minutes ago, I was asking them what planet to go to, and Jason said Kashyyyk to get it out of the way, and then Daniel said Tatooine afterwards, also to get out of the way.
No, to get HK-47, the best character of the entire game.
Tatooine to get out of the way as well.
I mean, either way, I played Kashyyyk, and I liked it. And if that's the worst planet, maybe I should go back and play it.
No, Manon is the worst planet.
I almost went to Manon, and then you said Tatooine.
Manon is the worst planet for two reasons. The way the fish people talk is unbearable, and that underwater section where you can only walk at like a foot a second, and it takes forever to get across.
Well, the Leviathan had the same thing, where when you're walking on the outside and you're on, like... You have to...
Oh, that's right, on the magnetic boots.
Yeah.
But Manon was a lot longer. You do a whole section under there.
Yeah, and not only that, those fucking sharks are terrifying.
I mean, I didn't find them scary.
I got the crap scared out of me by that monster on Kashyyyk. It's like, God!
Oh, the Kinrath.
Yeah, and he died really easy. And then I was like, I'll go wipe out these Mandalorians and be done with the planet. It took me 2 days to get through the Mandalorians. I killed the boss on the planet in my first try. I was like, okay... And then I went to fight this last side quest because all my people are being hunted.
Oh my god.
2 days.
On that same note, and sorry to go back to Malik, but I realized something different this playthrough. I probably played through the game maybe 3 or 4 times previously. This is the first time that I realized in that final battle, you can go kill those Jedi.
That's how you beat.
Are they younger?
So, in the last battle, Nate, you come up and you find Malik, and he has a bunch of Jedi basically in stasis in back-to-tanks around him. Mm-hmm. And they're in between life and death. And when you fight him, he gets down to a certain amount of his health bar, and then he goes and sucks the life out of a Jedi, and he gets back to full health. And there's maybe 10 of them around.
So
and every time you get him back down,
he's got 10 health packs, in effect, that you can go destroy first.
Now, you can go and destroy those back-to-tanks that have the Jedi in them. Before he can... You have to let him do it once, and then you can go destroy all the other ones, and then he only has his 1 life left. The first time I beat him, I didn't know you could do that.
Same, yeah.
I just beat him with his 10...
through?
Yeah.
So I don't know about, like, your game style, but I just had like a bunch of med packs and stims left and right. So like basically the first time I played, I didn't do that. I didn't know that either. I just like shot myself up with all the steroids I could do.
I never used the
stims,
but I would like there would. Fight a fight, lose it, fight it again, lose it, fight it the third time, be like, all right, maybe the mechanics aren't wrong here, I'm just under level. And then, like, how much do I have? I have enough to buy 18 med packs? That's what we're doing. And just would med pack my way through, which is, it is an older game style. You don't see that in modern games. Like,
the stims also, I don't know if you use stims a lot, but they were very,
there's like strength stems,
battle
accuracy
stamina.
stems.
I was not using
stems.
them, and part of it was I did love that they used the D&D stat system, but I didn't have a well enough, as well as the sentence structured understanding of the combat system and how the stats affected it. And so I was like, I wasn't high wisdom, but I was using my lightsaber. So is that wisdom because it's a Jedi power, or is that
I don't know.
agility?
I know that if I was having a problem with a battle, I would stim myself the fuck up, and then I'd probably win it.
Yeah. Drugs.
All right, kids.
Yeah.
First time steroids are the answer.
If you've D's in college, go find a friend with some Adderall and take care of that shit.
No, I'm not talking about college. I'm saying everyday life. If you're having any kind of problem, just find some needles and stick them in your arm.
This podcast brought to you by Florida Man and his magical fence running abilities. Straight through the 4x4.
We should specify, we are in sunny Tampa, Florida. And the reason that this podcast is called Command Center is because we are broadcasting from our command center, a.k.a. my attached garage.
With the AC off. I'm very...
The AC is off.
If we're in a garage, I would assume people would think that we don't have an AC in here.
Well, we have an AC in here, but dear listeners, it was too loud when we were recording, so we're in here.
We did this for you.
It's got to be about 90 degrees.
Yeah, I'm smelling them for you.
For the reference of why we were out in the garage, Daniel and Jay, myself, I am Jay, he is Daniel, live together, and
I'm not.
The house is very nice on the inside, and we were told that all the nerd shit has to go out here.
Yeah, I moved in with my fiance, and my stuff isn't allowed in the house, so it's all out in the garage. And
whatever, this is awesome.
This is my command center, and this is where we record from.
Which is also where we play video games on computers, not Xboxes. I feel like that was my.
Oh, most definitely. I even had some apprehension to that.
I wish I'd played this on computer. I feel like I would have enjoyed it. I did not enjoy it, but I had to enjoy it. It's like cake made of what's the
cacao?
No, the orange the orange melon that Nick calls
cantaloupe.
Fruit plate of cantaloupe. I had to pick around the cantaloupe to get to the honeydew of this game.
Well, I mean, what I would suggest maybe
it tastes like crap.
If you liked the story, which you didn't really get to the meat.
I didn't get to exactly. I had to respect
you only got the veg.
Is perhaps maybe
the honeydew, even the fruit.
Maybe watch a playthrough. And then if you dig it, play the second one, because the second one also refines a lot of the stuff.
And that's I do at the core of RPGs. Yes, at my core, I really don't enjoy RPGs. Like, I love some of the storylines, but the RPG games are not my cup of tea. I played Diablo because I was young and bored and had nothing to do.
I was young and I needed money.
I was fat and had no friends and didn't go outside, but I had a computer in my room.
But what about now?
I mean, all those things are the same, but my computer's in my dining room now. Or it's a laptop, it's mobile. I played Diablo 2 because I was playing with you. I played WoW because we were playing with a group of friends. I played Mass Effect because Mass Effect, as we said, wasn't really a true RPG. I liked Icewind Dale because you could pause it and mess with the combat system, but I really only played Icewind Dale for about 20 hours. I never beat the game, and the story didn't drive me. It was that combat system. Same with this game. Like, the ability to pause and bring in different skills and abilities. Each character was a fully developed member of an RPG. They weren't your mobs at your back. All of them, you could rotate through who your player was, and for after the battle when you're talking, it would go back to your main character. But even then, I could decide right after starting the game, that scout I started is crap. I'm going to play as Mission and just play through Mission's eyes. There were very few regulations on not playing as one of your group of characters. Your main character had to come on the missions, but that's all he had to do,
right?
Or she had to do.
So, would you recommend the game, Jay?
Oh, of course. I mean, like I said, even though I brought it up myself there, it's understandable for somebody who hasn't played. Specifically, if somebody played Mass Effect and then went back to play KOTOR, I can see, like, where you're not going to like it, but I'm going to recommend it to any Star Wars fan.
You might not like it, but you can also appreciate the aspects of Mass Effect that got where they are because of the game.
Exactly.
I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt in that I did not finish the game. So I'm going to say 81 or 8.1, meaning
8.1. What's the point one?
So if you're at 7.9, you're the absolute best of breed in your genre. If you're into the 80s, you're
wouldn't 10 be best of the breed in your genre?
No, because if you're the best RTS ever, I'm not going to recommend that to a first-person shooter player. But I'm going to recommend the original StarCraft
Okay, I get what you're saying.
StarCraft is 7. I would say 79 this is a great example of the genre. 8.1 meaning 81% means this is in the region where it should be recommended to everyone. If it were newer, if it came out yesterday, I would say 89 because is it something I would lose a ton of time over? No. Now, granted, again, this is all with the Xbox playthrough. Really, kind of the audio quality, having to plug it into my TV and stop watching reruns of Parks and Rec was enough for me to already have this game is not going to be great. But I'm going to give it an 81. It was good. I'd recommend it to anyone who's interested in video games. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. I would say there are people this game is for. If it were new, if we didn't have Mass Effect come out, if we didn't have all the development in games that this game was a part of, and a big part of, I would recommend it unconditionally. But I'll say 8.1 out of a 10.0 scale, so 81 out of 100. It was a good game. It was not my cup of tea, and I'll try it on computer someday. I'll say that, and that's completely a lie. So I won't do that.
At least he's honest. I'm not going to do some kind of stupid ass bullshit number scale. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. If you haven't played it before, sorry for the spoilers, idiot. But
why are you watching this? What, was the title going to be no spoilers? Let's put no spoilers in the title. That'd be great.
No. Hey, at least we didn't do any endgame spoilers.
No spoilers in an hour-long thing.
Well,
I would definitely recommend it for the reasons that we said, especially if you already have played other BioWare games. This is kind of like the precursor. You can see where a lot of this stuff came from, a lot of its early forms, and it still holds up.
And it carries through. You see exactly what you said. Sorry.
The graphics can be an issue if you're not playing on Steam. Even on Steam, I think they hold up pretty well. The UI is a little bit clunky, but it's nothing you can't get past. And if nothing else, watch a playthrough because the story is fucking phenomenal. Like, they could have made a whole series of movies out of this whole storyline with Revan and Malik and the Old Republic and all that. Yeah. Definitely worth a playthrough.
That pod racing minigame made it.
The pod racing minigame. Dude.
The poker game. We never talked about the fake card game.
Pazak.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to do a speed playthrough, so I literally ignored every Pazak, and they kept... I figured after the starting area they'd stop. No, I got the Kashik, and some Wookiee's like, oh, you're playing Pazak? I was like, get the fuck away from me.
I spent a lot of... 75 hours, like I said. Yeah. I don't know how many were played.
Yeah, I played a bunch of Pazak.
I ignored every... Was there any benefit to it?
It's fun.
It's fun. You get money.
Yeah.
I don't just do something for fun. I don't play video games, all right?
No, we do for the podcast.
I do.
But yeah, any last thoughts?
If you love, fuck, what were we just talking about? Nicer Republic?
I'm going to jump in here, because I think he just had a stroke. Had I known earlier that you could just randomly walk up to your Jedi and say, hey, give me a friggin' grenade, I would have spent a lot less money on grenades. And you could walk up to your droid and randomly say, give me a computer spike.
It's Big Z who gives you that. But anyways,
Zelbar.
If you are listening to this and then go into Nicer Republic and then haven't even heard of Nicer Republic 2, I will highly, even over Nicer Republic 1, recommend Nicer Republic 2. A lot of people say that it's the weakest of the two. I enjoy the story a lot more, and they definitely refined the gameplay. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean... But this is all just the preamble to us playing
Mass Effect
Pod Racer on the N64, which is the best Star Wars game in history.
Oh, everybody knows that.
Yeah.
One last final thought about it is you guys didn't even touch on this one. The minigame, if you can even call it that, where you can fuck the Rancor.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta go back and play the game some more.
Play the game, y'all.
All I did for the Rancor was use every landmine I had to kill it, then go and talk to you guys the next day and go, oh yeah, you didn't put the Rancor bait with the hand and the grenade and the pile of corpses? I was like...
Anyways, next month, we're going to be playing, what did we decide on, guys? Dead Island?
Yeah.
We're going to be doing Dead Island. You can find it for $19.99 on Steam. It's not on Good Old Games, but if you want to play on Xbox...
It's on Origin as well if you worship Satan.
If you want to play on Xbox for whatever reason, you can find it from anywhere from $3 to $5. Don't pay too much more than that. It's a good game, but
Those are U.S. dollars. By
Good
the way.
God.
No Cuban pesos.
So we're going to be playing Dead Island. So if you want to play along with us, we're going to finish that up, and we'll be posting our next episode a month from today, and that'll be our subject. So play along, have some fun. If you guys want to hit us on our socials, we have a Gmail. Send us what you want to say. It's commandcenterpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. If you like the podcast, rate and subscribe us. It'll be a lot of fun. So listen along. Yes, Nate.
What are you talking about? Are we going to play that sweet outro? Jason wrote that great outro song that he was going to sing for us.
Yeah.
No.